Changing your life starts with deciding to sleep early because you're no longer procrastinating changing your life and you're starting to actually prioritize your own change, your own growth as a person over everyone else. As a person who's also had the same issue in struggling to say no to things, struggling to say no to people, and dealing with the dissatisfaction from others, I would tell you that the biggest thing you can do for yourself as a people pleaser, as a person who genuinely does depend on approval, it's to start very simply by sleeping early. Because what does that entail, number one? You're no longer procrastinating your own life. You're no longer procrastinating living your own life. And that means you're no longer waiting for someone else to do something, for someone else to say something, for someone else to actually live your life. And when you're no longer waiting for someone else to live your life, you start living it yourself. You've got agency. For once in your life, you do. Because you can't just simply one day say, I no longer care about everyone else. I'm going to do this and that's it. It's very hard, now, number one. But the second thing is, you got to start somewhere. And the very easy way of doing that is to start today by deciding to sleep early. You're no longer procrastinating because of the fact that, let's think of all the bad habits that you have that probably make sleep not that important. Maybe it's video games, maybe it's scrolling, maybe it's just not good time management or something else or other that right now you're probably thinking, okay, it does sound pretty easy to sleep early. That might be worthwhile. That would mean that I'm taking the first steps to actually prioritizing myself over everyone else. Yeah, why not? But when it gets to 9 p.m., this is what you're going to notice. When it gets to 10 p.m., because this happened to me as well, you're going to start thinking about all the cool things you could do. And it's almost like it's free time because you're supposed to wake up tomorrow at this time, you've already finished your day, and so when you go to bed doesn't really matter because in return you get to do all these different things. You get to play video games for 3 hours, from 9 to 11 or until 3 a.m. to do something and to binge on something. And that is one of the number one things that happen when you decide to sleep early as a person who has a sort of addictive personality, where he can either choose between the two extremes of absolute discipline or absolute degeneracy. I never found in my life I could do the middle ground. That was never my thing. It's either a 5 a.m. start or a 1 p.m. start where I do nothing. And I think for a lot of people, and I hope the people watching have the same thing, because what will generally happen is that if you do genuinely prioritize your sleep, meaning you set a good bedtime, right? You go, I'm going to sleep at 10:30 tonight. Like, I'm talking about actionable advice, so it's tonight. What you're going to notice is straight away the issues that have actually completely stopped your growth to begin with. The reason why you're stuck. The reason why you aren't the person you're meant to be. You're wasting time. You will find the things that are wasting your time. And it will look very, very amazing at that moment. It'll look so tempting to just forego that bedtime at 10:30 and to just spend the 3 hours after binging on an anime because you think, it's basically free time. I'm making free time by eating into my sleep. That's what you're doing. You're eating into your sleep, and when you wake up in the morning, you're going to have less sleep. You're less likely to actually wake up early. You also have less discipline because sleep is the biggest indicator of discipline. So if you had 100 discipline points, if you only slept for 6 hours instead of 8, now you've got 60 discipline points. it's an exponential graph. It's not a linear one where it goes with 1 hour you have 10, with 2 hours you have 20. With 1 hour you have less than 5 discipline points. With 8 hours you have 100. With 7 hours you have like 90. With 6 hours, you see how it goes from the very top of efficiency to the very bottom of absolute degeneracy and mediocrity. Sorry, I got a cold. So now, if you really think about it in this way, you start to realize how important it is just to sleep early, because it actually shows you the reasons why you haven't actually changed, the reasons why you are wasting time. And if you can actually confront this, what you're going to notice is that you will be able to actually overcome your addictions, your bad habits. Because what happens to a lot of people is that they want to change their life. They've watched some motivational thing, or they're sick and tired of where they are currently. And what they instantly do is they say, you know what, I'm going to wake up early. Yeah, I'm going to wake up early at 5 a.m. And then when it gets to around 9 p.m., 10 p.m., they go, but I'm just going to do it one last time. I'm going to do this habit one last time. I'm going to goon just 3 more times. You know, it's the last time, never going to do it again. It's like a bitter farewell. And believe it or not, that is procrastination. You're not actually quitting the habit. You just want one more day to do that habit. And what happens as a result also, it's like the devil in disguise. It literally completely destroys everything else that you're trying to do. When you say to yourself, this is just the last time I'm going to do it, that is the devil sneaking into your life and destroying any chance or remnants of a change. So you aren't going to wake up at 5 a.m. the next morning. You won't be motivated to do so because you'll have less sleep. You'll have less sleep. On top of that, you haven't actually decided to change. And so when you have had less sleep, have had less discipline, and you wake up at 5 a.m. and you feel like shit, it's dark outside. That's when you're going to decide to do the hardest thing in your life currently. You're going to decide to change your life at that moment. See, when you actually decide to change your life, it starts the night before with a good bedtime, because you're making it easy for yourself. You make it so much harder for yourself by procrastinating everything and just putting off the fact that you should stop the bad habit and just giving it to your future self. The opposite should be the case. That is how you actually have satisfaction in your life. It's not always the most exciting things. It's not always the most interesting things that give you fulfillment and happiness in life. In retrospect, it's usually the things, if you think about the times that you were the most happy, they're the things that in the surface don't really seem very exciting or fun. But when you think about it, you say, I didn't do a lot, but I did have a good bedtime and I did have a good schedule. And during these 2 weeks, during these 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, I was genuinely locked in. I was sleeping on time, I was eating right, I was exercising right. I was literally in bed at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m., not a minute after or not a minute before. And when you think about the times you were the happiest in life, especially for guys, it's not when you were in a relationship, because that goes south very easily. It's not when you're with other people. It's when you have genuine fulfillment deep from within your own heart. And that only happens when you have conquered your bad habits and you've created a wonderful schedule for yourself. So if that's when you're the most happy, what is the secret to happiness? What is the very first step to happiness? It's implementing that routine. And that routine doesn't start early in the morning at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. It starts the night before with a good bedtime, because you are overcoming your bad habits and you are telling yourself in a time that it's actually a lot easier to decide to change your life, that you're going to change your life. Now, what else does this actually show? You are prioritizing yourself. So no longer are you procrastinating, you're actually prioritizing your own life. And for anyone who has had struggles with other people, social anxiety, if in high school you watched a lot of Charisma on Command videos and all these other videos that kind of show you how to be liked, you know, if being liked was a concern to you before and now you've kind of come over it, one of the biggest symptoms of a person who has these attributes is that they struggle with saying no. They struggle with saying no to things. And it's especially the case when you have to sleep early. Because I'm sure some objections that you got straight away when I said, oh, sleep at 10 p.m. or 10:30 or 9:30 or 9, you thought, it's way too early. What if I'm out with my friends? What if I'm doing this? Now, my question for you would be, is that really something you want to be doing? I know it might sound realistic to do this, and so you should prioritize your bedtime at a later date. Maybe that's true. But I want you to ask yourself, would you really want to do this? Or would you rather be in bed at a certain time? Because you told me just before that that is when you're the happiest. Not when you're hanging out with friends and it's past 12 a.m. and this, and this. Because you've felt those before. Think about the times you've done that. Were you happier then? Or were you happier when you actually had a good schedule? So, let's look at it really practically there. If it's really the case that you're happier with the friends and do your friends, whatever, it doesn't matter. Go fuck them, I don't care. But if you actually care about your own life, most of you will say that you were most happy when you had the schedule. So, when we look at it in this way, isn't it the case that it's better to actually prioritize your sleep and say no to things, say no to hangouts, and maybe, because it also comes from a bit of low self-esteem, because you think, oh, you know, my friends usually hang out around this time. Why don't you fucking decide when to hang out? Why don't you say, oh, let's hang out at this time, so, because guys, I gotta go to bed at this time. Like, is it that hard? Is it that hard to be a bit of a nuisance so you can actually live and enjoy your life? I bet you if you did that, your friends will have more respect for you. Now, just think about that, right? If you can start to say no to things, you're prioritizing yourself because you're saying yes to you. And if you can start saying no to your parents, like, obviously it's important to watch movies with your dad or mom. Like, you should obviously spend time with them. But believe it or not, you can do the same thing. Just because I'm telling you to sleep early doesn't mean you are no longer hanging out with your friends. You're no longer doing things with anyone because you're just saying no, 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 no. What happens if someone truly wants to spend time with you? If it's your parents, if it's a good friend, when you say no, either they're very open to changing the time they want to hang out, or they ask you straight up, oh, then what's a good time for you? Like, the issue that you thought was so hard was instantly fixed by just saying no, because now you've just filtered out anyone who didn't actually want to hang out with you to begin with. And if your parents do care about you, of course they're going to love the fact that you're now sleeping at 10 p.m. because they can see that you're trying to change. And so what would happen? They would say, okay, why don't we just watch it at 8:30, we'll start a movie at 8:30, so you have a bit of time before bed, bed to do this, and this, and get to sleep at 10 p.m. That's usually what happens, if you actually have good, Now, isn't it actually cool that you can change your life by doing this? Because you think it's so small. You think the reason for your current circumstance is so much grander than you'd ever imagined. You thought that it's only because of this great thing that I'm no longer, prioritizing my life. And if I can just understand this one philosophical point on relationships or the key to the key to fucking happiness and discipline, then I'll be able to change my life. After understanding the 10 secrets of the top 90, the top 1% of people who are in finance, that is when I'll start to implement it and change and do this. But until then, I'm just gonna goon and do all these bad habits and just ruin my life to begin with and just become a passive viewer of my own life. Is that really how you want to live it? That is what I would ask. And so the practical step is sleep early. Pretty simple, right? I'll see you guys next time.